We know what's happening with the polls, huge Labour leads, but they don't tell you why voters are thinking in the way they do or how. So to understand better, news agents teamed up with More in Common, a research group, to put together a representative focus group, a sample of voters from Swindon South, a classic marginal seat which Labour needs to win at the next general election. We met at the local football club, I was very at home, 5 Tory voters, 3 Labour. One thing which united the room was the complete revulsion for the mini-budget, Conservative voters and all.
The general lack of sort of looking at the wider picture. You know, if we put this in, how will that affect X, Y, Z? They didn't even look at that. They just said, yeah, that's good, we'll just do that.
So it's all very well to say we're going to look at stamp duty as well, but all those mortgage products got pulled as well. It's like a decision that was made by an 11-year-old that hasn't thought about the wider picture. My second daughter is doing politics and international relations for her degree and did it at A-level, and I'm confident she wouldn't have made that decision, and nobody's thought of the impact of that. It's like it's just been pulled out of a hat.
On several occasions she was arguing about economic policies with the man that had been Chancellor and had been a hedge fund manager and knew economics inside out. And she was arguing the toss with him that she was right and he was wrong. Liz Truss and the Chancellor, and lots of people have said they're very clever people. Right? I've heard that a lot from MPs. And if they're clever, then God up the rest of us. I think it was deceitful in that they snuck it in under the radar, lots of stuff. I think it was arrogant because they didn't get an OBR report on it. And it was be damned and we're doing it and we don't really care.
And now all of a sudden you're going to find exactly what happened in the 80s. Repossessions are going to be everywhere. Riots are going to be everywhere. It's going to be massive.
She's just gone in with the tax cuts for the higher paid and left everyone behind, and then decided that actually I've got to backtrack on this because it's not gone down very well at all.
The Chancellor and the government says, in terms of what's happened with the mortgage rates, what happened with the mortgage market, their argument still is that largely or even exclusively that is about international factors. Do any of you buy that?
Utter tosh, because yes, interest rates have gone up. The irony of all of this is they've done 2 things. They've released the cap on bankers' earnings, and bankers were instantly, the second they did that, given the opportunity to increase mortgage rates.
If I were to ask you to think of one word or 2 words to describe Liz Truss, the Prime Minister, what would they be?
Lame and a shambles.
Rash, perhaps, considering the recent decisions around the mini-budget.
Stoic in how she is.
Quite hasty. She's gone in quite quickly, not really thought about her actions very well. She's had to backtrack quite a lot.
Compromise.
Okay.
Country did vote for her. MPs did vote for her. 110,000, mainly southeast based old men in their 66. Did vote for her.
Disillusioned and a sheep, a follower.
False smile and Margaret Thatcher wannabe.
And I'm going to think of one word or 2, if you want to describe Keir Starmer.
A bit smarmy, deceitful.
Just a rat. And I just don't like that. He is very swarmy.
Fake, because I think that what comes to mind every time I see him is just says the automatic argument against whatever he hears.
I think he's fake and swarmy and all of that. I don't trust him.
I think he's growing in confidence. I think there's a communication issue.
Disappointing and uninspiring.
If the election was tomorrow, who would you vote for?
I keep thinking if I was both of their boss, so Liz Truss would have been fired for gross misconduct because of what she did, and Keir Starmer would be on a final written warning and a performance improvement plan.
I'll never be on board with Conservatives' focus on rewarding the highest paid people in this country.
Tory, I would hope that the previous policies and what they've done track record wise, that they could hopefully turn this around, but it would either mean a change of leadership or definitely change of advisement to her, and quick.
I couldn't with all good conscience vote for Conservative when they're giving massive bonuses to bankers, and they're still refusing to talk about the benefits going up and down. That just rubs me the wrong way completely.
At the moment, I would still be probably edging towards Liz Truss, only because of Keir Starmer. I've seen quite a bit, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing.
I mean, you know, whether you liked Boris Johnson or not, I mean, he picked the biggest lemon in the world, didn't he? I mean, he literally got the job, and within weeks, COVID came along. So whether you like the bloke or not, I mean, but...
Would you like him back? Would you like him back? Do you think he'd do a better job? Boris?
100%.
Yeah, you'd like Boris Johnson back?
100%.
Let's do a show of hands on that. Who would like Boris back?
Yes, I would take Boris back, yeah.
Glenn?
No.
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 Yes.
Okay, so bit of a split.
So he'd be more likely to make you vote Conservative next election?
Yes.
What were your takeaways from that?
Well, firstly, I think we saw just how toxic that mini budget was with this group. In fact, they almost seemed slightly bewildered that the government seemed to have, and they used this word haste, rash, that they'd rushed into doing the mini budget without really thinking about it. And the thing which came across from that so strikingly was they have really started to lose confidence in Liz Truss as Prime Minister, but they think there is a path. I mean, it's a narrow one, and one of the participants talked about a plank that was closing shortly to turn it around. And so, you know, it really is the case, listening to that group, which is typical of many groups that we do, that we're talking a matter of weeks rather than months for the government to turn things around.
Labour have gone up by, 25 points in the polls. Conservative leaders collapsed, or Conservative polling has collapsed. And yet, there wasn't that enthusiasm. I mean, how do you explain that?
I think what you're seeing at the moment in the opinion polls is that they're actually acting more like an approval rating than a kind of voting intention measure. So you've got lots of people expressing their discontent with the government and saying that they're going to vote for Labour.
It feels like completely on the edge.
It is absolutely on the edge. That is going to be what determines what the next election result is. You know, this group clearly thought the government had bungled its first 4 weeks. They were willing to give them, and Sarah said it, she's willing to give them one more shot because she thinks everyone deserves a second chance. But that window is closing narrowly, and unless the government turn it around, I think you're looking at very clearly Keir Starmer walking into Downing Street.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.